All right, well, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight to our grade one virtual orientation in this very unusual year that we're having in 2020. So, of course, I am in my home, as many of us are tonight. Thank you for welcoming us into yours and joining us tonight. I know that many of you were at our virtual open house a few weeks ago. My name is David Traherne, principal of the school, for those of you who don't know and are joining us for the first time tonight. We also have joining us tonight Ms. Remtula, the director of UMS, Ms. Remtula, the head of CASA. We have Ms. Mevis, our vice principal, with us, and Ms. Young, dean of students. We have Ms. Chung, who's our parent representative tonight. She is the head of our parent council. She also has 3 children at our school, one currently in grade 1, so she's very well versed in what it's like to be a parent of a student in our school in grade 1. And we also have Mr. Rabnazad, who is a grade 1 teacher and the lead teacher of our grade 1 team and has been at our school for many years now and is well loved in our community. Mr. Sandbrooks, our IT manager, is helping us out to make sure we are running smoothly tonight. If anything happens, he'll be the one we are asking for assistance. So thank you once again for joining us. I know that many of you, like I said, we're here for our first orientation, but I do know that about a quarter of the people here are also joining us from outside of our school. Your children aren't part of our CASA program, and you are thinking about joining our school for grade 1, and I'd like to welcome you as well. I am going to introduce some of my general beliefs about our school before we get into the actual grade 1 program. I'm kind of an abridged version of what I said a few weeks ago, so I don't bore those who've already heard it, but also we have many things to get to tonight because we do want to have a lengthy Q&A at the end for the last half of our session. So I think, as principal of the school for the last 4 years, I really do want to highlight 3 things that are very valuable to me in regards to what makes our school unique or special. And also, as a parent of a child, I also know what things I look for in a school. Of course, a rigorous curriculum and high expectations in regards to um, the success of each child in our school is hugely important. And we'll get into some of the specifics of that. But I do want to talk a little bit about 3 areas. And the first one's our staff, which, I mentioned in the last presentation that, I'm closer to the end of my career than the beginning. And when you're in this position and you've worked for a long time in education, you have a bit of choice as to where you are working and want to work. And I'm really glad that I'm at UMS for many reasons, which we'll go into, but the staff is really the primary one. It's just a phenomenal staff, a really dedicated group of people, highly skilled. The grade 1 team has been a team for multiple years now, led by a very capable teacher in Ms. Arab Nazad. They work together collaboratively to make sure that the program is running similarly, yet is in tune with the differences that you need to adjust to based on the community of children in front of you. But it's a very strong grade 1 program, and it's been a delight watching it work so effortlessly through the last 4 years. Our staff's very accessible. We want a great relationship with parents. They are open for discussion and meetings and working with you one-to-one to get the best out of your child. Uh, really great collaborators, as I've mentioned, not only with staff, but with each other, with administration. It really has a feel of a team approach in our school. And it's, I think, one of the things that makes the school a great choice for anybody who wants to bring their child to it. The social and emotional life of students, we're going to talk a lot about curriculum and the academic side of our program shortly, but I'm very invested in the social and emotional life of children as well. I don't want students to only be successful academically, but I want them to be happy. I want them to feel safe. I want them to feel liked. I want them to feel like they can be their own person. And I really want them to understand that their voice is important. I want it activated. I want them to tell me when there's a problem or a challenge. I want to be involved in the problem solving with them to help them become better problem solvers, not only in their academic life, but in their social and emotional life. So I have what I call an open door policy in the office. I expect children to come to the office, not because they're in trouble or because they've been sent to the office for some reason, but because they want to come there to problem solve and to see if they can access the adults in the building in a way that makes any stress or anxiety um, lessen. And when you first start introducing that, you don't get a lot of visitors, but through the years, I get more and more. And as the kids grow up and go through the grades, they start to access me a lot. And it's a wonderful part of my job because I really want to get to know the community and your children. There's a lot of kids in the school, but I make it a personal mission to get to know them personally. And our staff supports that. Our staff also wants the same type of collaboration with children so that their voice is activated. Brought in a very strong anti-bullying policy a few years ago to strengthen that area of the school to ensure that students are safe at all times, and that if they feel they aren't for any reason, that we have a very strict plan in place to ensure that it doesn't last long. And the last thing I want to add is just collaboration with all of you. I think probably more than anything, a good school is only as strong as the collaboration between the administration, the staff, and the parents. So we want to keep problems small. We want to hear from you. We want to problem solve with you and brainstorm with you ways in which to engage your child and ways to make your child successful. So those are three areas that I feel our school is very strong in, and three very good reasons for me as a parent why I would choose a school. I would want an administration that's accessible. I would want a staff that's collaborative and warm and friendly and educated at a high level for the area they're teaching in. And of course, I would want to focus not only on the academic part of a student's life, but the social and emotional part. So when it comes to what we offer, some of these, it's a long list here. I'm not going to go through every single thing because like I said, we have a lot to go through. And this is just an introduction to what I hope is a very long conversation that we have when your child joins our school. A few areas that I did want to focus on this list here, and some of the other ones I've touched on already, and some we'll get to coming up, is the research and development part of our school. One of the reasons why I joined the school in the first place, what fascinated me about the school, was the idea that it's always looking and researching for innovative ways to augment a child's experience in the school. It is really an ongoing professional dialogue that is happening daily and weekly. It's not just at certain points in the year. I worked for the TDSB for a long, long time before joining UMS, and one of the challenges with the public boards is initiatives. Once they filter down from the ministry to the board level and then into schools, it can often not be managed as well as I would have liked, as far as driving that initiative into classrooms. I think one of the great things about UMS is that the initiatives are driven in a more intimate way, collaborating with staff, with parents, even with children sometimes as to what is best for them. So the research and development aspect of our program is really strong. And differentiated instruction. I'm a very strong believer in teaching not only to the curriculum, but to the individuals in the room. So while we have 4 grade 1 classrooms, those classrooms are different. The population of children in each of those classrooms is quite dramatically different at times. And so the approach to those individual classrooms and to specific needs within that room has to be differentiated. You can't teach exactly the same way to each child. So on an enrichment level, we have students who would be working at a much higher level in some subject areas. We need to work with those individuals and with the families to ensure that they are feeling motivated and challenged. For students who are having specific challenges in defined areas, I will be speaking about resource a little bit later, but we also want to engage those students so that they're feeling successful and not overly frustrated and feel like they're not achieving. So differentiation in the school is exceptionally important to us. And some of those other areas we will talk about as we move along. We can just move to the next slide. Looking at a day in the life of a student in grade one, um, this would be a typical schedule well, even now, actually. I was thinking pre-COVID, but so many things have changed this year, but in some ways, the grade one program is quite similar. You'll see a lot of the colored areas are rotary subjects. One of the great things about UMS is we have specialized teachers in all of the areas that you see highlighted. That's incredibly different from um, public system. You know, when I taught in the public system, I taught every single subject other than French. And in this school, we get all of these specialized teachers teaching each of these things, which is really makes a dramatic difference in the life of a child. Uh, for our CASA parents, many of these Rotary subjects have been taught in CASA, but we add drama and art to the grade one program. So there's some additional arts-based Rotary subjects that they'll be having taught by specialized teachers. And within that, there's a lot of integration of programming. So the homeroom teachers will be working with some of the Rotary teachers to, so that if they're doing something in language arts, the drama teacher can pick up on that and build it into her program. When I was introducing the anti-bullying initiative and policy, a lot of our programs in the arts blended many ideas into their program that fit into that overall theme that we were trying to promote, which was safety and respect for one another and kindness. So there's a lot of integration of subjects, both in math and language. In the tech and math, quite often will integrate together, and the teachers will work together so that there's meaning behind the learning on multiple different levels, not just all separated and segregated. I think, as you can see, language and math is a huge focus in our school. In the primary grades, it's a huge focus for us. You know, when the math curriculum was introduced, new math curriculum was introduced in Ontario, and I was reading through it. I was happily not surprised, but just happy that we were already having many of the things that were newly mandated as part of our program, especially when it came to some of the core learning, back to basics, for lack of a better term, learning, and also in the financial literacy department. So in our program, we have grade one program, we have two teachers. We have the homeroom teacher and we have a teaching assistant who is a qualified teacher or ECE qualified teacher, who is there to assist and work with the students. So we would have about a 1:11 ratio for teacher to students, and the amount of additional assistance they provide is, you really can't you can't say enough about how important that is in a primary classroom. I would have loved to have had a second teacher in my room when I was teaching. You can break out in small groups, you can get one-to-one attention, you can differentiate a lot more. It's just amazing what you can do with another person in the room who's qualified. So these are the subjects, generally what the students will take in their first year in our school. Technology is an interesting one in which to focus on. We have invested a lot of money into technology in our school, and the coding and robotics starts very early with our young primary students. French, as you see, starts at a very young age with our students. In the public system, it doesn't start until grade 4. We have them starting in CASA and then moving into the grade 1 program. It even becomes more formalized. And then some of the other subjects that you saw in the last schedule. Well, language arts. Now, when I talk about moving through things quickly, this is where it is really nothing more than a brief introduction to the program. And like I said, what I hope to be a long conversation as we begin to get to know each other next year. I taught in the Faculty of Education at York University for a number of years, and I taught a whole year-long course on language arts delivery for the primary students. So I'm going to speak about it for about 45 seconds to a minute tonight, where when I delivered the course, it was, 8 months long. So this is just a very brief introduction, but these are the areas. We follow the Ontario curriculum at a year advanced level for our core subjects. Reading, media literacy, writing, and oral communication are the 4 strands that we focus on. There's a lot of things that I like to see in a language program, essentially core competencies. So communication is really important, and collaboration. How do we communicate our ideas to each other? How do we listen well? Thinking, critical and creative thinking is a big part of language arts, and it's a big focus for us. Also reflective thinking. What do you think? What do you feel? What's your interpretation of this? We want to hear student voice activated a lot in our language program. And then personal and social aspects of a language program, social awareness, personal responsibility, cultural identity, positive personal, sense of self. So a lot of these deeper aspects behind a language program come out, as well as the basic, spelling, learning to read better, learning to write more effectively. So all of those pieces are attached to the program as well. Math also follows the Ontario curriculum at a year advanced level. Once again, we have the strands that you would typically see in the Ontario curriculum delivered within the public system, but we are a year advanced once again. I think, when we're looking at our program in math, we know we have many, many students in our community who are very, very strong in math. So it is a real focus for us. We have a math specialist in our school who's a senior level teacher who looks at an overview of the math program, assists and helps teachers in their programming, works through any kind of differentiation needs with teachers to help them with that. As you can see, it's a wide range of topics that are covered. We use MyMath as the main core program text, and that contains online components that parents can access. And as I mentioned, we're fulfilling many of the new objectives that the ministry has laid out for the new curriculum, especially when it comes to some of the core back to basic teaching that goes on in math, to make sure that the foundation is very, very strong as we move into the later primary years and junior education in math, where the learning becomes more abstract, where you need to have that core knowledge to be able to work at a high level with problem solving in other areas of math. And I am now going to pass it off to our vice principal, Miss Mevis, and she's going to tell you a little bit about social studies.
Good evening, families. So I will continue on talking about the core subjects. So talking about social studies, it is comprised of 2 core components of the units of heritage and identity and people and environments. The thematic integration of this subject is key. We do integrate a lot of the reading aspects through our language arts program through our Nelson Literacy. And we also have quite a few field trips, visitors, research projects, presentations that are a significant part of keeping learning fun, keeping the students engaged, interactive. Uh, so they have relevance to learning what they're learning as well as how they connect to the real world. So, an example of one of the social studies trips that the grade ones usually plan to visit is the Japanese Canadian Culture Center, which allows students to explore storytelling, traditional crafts, as well as traditions, for example. For our next slide, talking about science, science has a variety of specific outcomes. Students learn to initiate, they learn to plan, they learn to perform tasks, and how to record data, how to analyze and interpret, and then how to communicate findings. In addition to working at an advanced level, our students learn through a lot of hands on and practical experiments. They learn to ask the big questions, they learn by doing. A variety of interactive field trips, such as Reptilia, is one of the key highlights, and a visit to Courtright Learning Center, along with hosting in-school scientists in the school workshops, are some key areas that the students really, really enjoy. This helps to nurture their interest for further development in this subject. So next, looking at STEAM, which stands for science, technology, engineering, art, and math. STEAM and cross-curricular subject integration when learning is essential, as Mr. Traherne previously mentioned. We do a lot of that at our school. Students see that science is everywhere, math is everywhere, and that their world interconnects. So, as students progress through the variety of grade levels, their STEAM projects in particular, from grade 4 and onward through to grade 8, become quite intricate in design and technology aspects, where they're using our laser cutter and design lab. For our next slide, technology and design. There's actually no Ontario curriculum for computers during the last several months of last school year and throughout this current school year. The importance of knowing how to effectively use technology, troubleshoot, and apply learned skills through technology has been a tremendous learning curve, and it has been completely impressive on behalf of the teachers as well as the students. Our school programming has been adapted to ensure a smooth transition for our students who opted for the online learning option and experience. And the ability to connect them to in-class learning opportunities has been highly praised and appreciated by our families. Our technology curriculum innovates and introduces our young students to skills that are outlined on this slide um, that are ahead of the learning curve. So UMS has a Mac lab and class sets of iPads, which teachers can sign out for student use, and use a variety of age and individual subject skill specific apps for student use and development. Moving on to look at coding skills. So, coding, also called programming or developing, is telling a computer, an app, a phone, or website what you want for it to do. So, some educators and experts are calling coding to be the new literacy, a subject that is so important that every child needs to know these basic skills. Learning to code prepares students for the world that we live in today and the ever changing world that is yet to come. There are a variety of jobs and occupations that use coding directly that we know of already, but there are jobs that this generation will have that have not even yet been determined. So their skills and interests will direct them on this journey and on this path. Why coding? Children learn to formulate how to formulate problems. They learn how to logically organize and analyze their thoughts systematically. They learn how to develop their ideas in creative ways. They learn ordered thinking skills. They learn how to analyze and implement solutions. And they learn to problem solve. They learn effective combinations to steps of following, which focus on developing their logical thinking skills. Coding is interesting to our students, and they really enjoy this part of their technology programming. Next, on to our French slide. The French instruction, as Mr. Traherne said, at our school begins right in our CASA programming. And for families who are new to our grade 1 program, we continue on with our AIM gestures approach. And this approach provides a multidimensional learning to language acquisition. So the AIM gestures approach is it's associated with high frequency vocabulary words to help students increase their automaticity and memory of their vocabulary. It's authentic learning, and it's achieved through storytelling, gestures, active collaboration, and repetition of vocabulary. This format of learning allows for the students to rapidly achieve strong levels of oral and written fluency and proficiency. Our grade 1 students enjoy one of the extra cross curricular links where they prepare their French dialogue as well as their acting skills in their drama class to bring those two skills together and put on some beautiful French plays for their parents. For when students get a little bit older, we do offer extended trips to enhance their learning by offering trips to Montreal, for example, or to France in our senior grade levels. For our next slide for phys ed and health curriculum. These programs support students' overall emotional, physical, and mental well-being. We also provide a number of sport activities after school. These have been put on hold for this year. We do have a few paid after school programs that are available that Ms. Young will talk to you about a bit later. We belong as a school to the SSAF, which is the Small Schools Athletic Federation. This involves over 60 schools within the private sector, and we offer such a wide variety of sports from soccer, basketball, hockey, golf, swimming, badminton, just to name a few. And we are proud to report that we are usually in the top 3 winners circle in most of our varsity teams. As part of our healthy and active living program, we support the emotional well-being of our students through our strong character education programming and teaching empathy, compassion. What does that look like? How do we live it? How do we immerse in that every day? Moving on to our art slide. We have maintained a rich focus on the arts. The arts offer many modes for students to have opportunities to express themselves, to think and feel, explore, problem solve, interpret, develop their poise, develop their confidence. Students can risk take in a very safe and supported environment, and they learn to find and they learn how to activate their voice. There are many opportunities for large scale productions and smaller drama groups. There's opportunities for competitive experiences through our choirs. And art is everywhere throughout our school. So when parents are allowed to re-enter and come into our hallways, you will see that we truly celebrate the individuality and creativity of our students and their creative masterpieces that they create. Students in grade 1 and 2, upon request, can participate in our piano lessons program. And this helps them to develop their fundamental theory skills as well as their skill set and passion for further development in their music studies. In grade 1, we offer the ORF approach, combining music, movement, dance, and speech into lessons while learning how to play a wide variety of instruments such as the xylophone, bells, rhythm sticks, to name a few. So that is the overview of our different subject areas and our Rotary subjects, which again are taught by passionate and Rotary specific skilled teachers. So next I'm pleased to introduce Ms. Young, who is our Dean of Students, to talk about assessments.
Thank you, Mrs. Mavis. So throughout the year, the teachers will be conducting their own assessments in all 10 of the subject areas. For grade 1, as assessments are completed, the teachers will record the grades in Edsby, and you will be able to see your students' progress live as they are occurring, not just when report card time comes around. As a school, we also complete school-wide assessments such as the CAT-4, which is an achievement test in language and math. And this compares our students with students all across Canada. And as a whole, our school does extremely well on the CAT-4 compared to students across all of Canada. Within our library program, we also have the STAR assessment and the Accelerated Reader program, the AR program. So STAR reading assessments occur every month. This provides even more information to develop a complete picture of a child's reading progress. In grade 3, all of our students will write what is called our GATE test, and this screens for giftedness. Our students will then be put into our gifted and talented program, which begins in grade 4 for all those students who require even more of a challenge than what the year ahead program would bring.
Well, it's always a pleasure introducing our resource and support team. In my 30 years in education, it is clearly the best team I've ever worked with in regards to resource. Just a phenomenal group of professionals who dig deeply into a learning need and find solutions and strategies and really greatly improve the lives of students in our school who are finding some challenges in specific areas. It is not a tutoring program. It is not a way to bump an 85 into a 90% in a class. It is meant for students who are struggling in specific areas. But it's not only that. I mean, that's a primary part of it, of course, but they're also there as a resource to teachers. So if a teacher does have a student who requires enrichment, who's performing at a very high level, and they want to have more insight into how to challenge that student, the resource department is full of great ideas. And for the student who's struggling, it provides them an opportunity for some one-to-one time to strengthen an area so that they're feeling more confident in the classroom. And all of this would be done with the collaboration of the parents. Obviously, we need you to sign off on anything in regards to resource. And it would be a discussion that we would have as to whether your child would require it and be successful with it, and whether you would want it. I honestly, I think it's one of the great things at UMS. To be honest with you, you don't see it in necessarily every private school. Some private schools just flat out don't have a resource department. And in the public system, I have worked with many great professionals in resource departments, but this team specifically is just ranks at the top for me. So moving on to communication.
ETSB, for those of you who are in our CASA program, you would be familiar with ETSB, but our communication tools that we use are both ETSB and Google Classroom. So ETSB is an online communication program that resembles Facebook in its platform. It has been designed with students, teachers, and parents in mind for functionality. Teachers are able to send private messages. You can update on your child's progress, the learning stories, and they share significant news. You have access to your child's classroom, and you have full control over the privacy. As well, parents can see the grades, as I mentioned, as they are being posted from assignments on ETSB. You can book interviews with your teachers, and when the formal report card is released, you can see and print it from ETSB. Google Classroom is another tool that we use for communication. We have used it in conjunction with ETSB, but it's an important tool for where we will posting our assignments, our activities. The students are able to submit their work on Google Classroom. The teachers are able to mark it right on Google Classroom, and the students can then see their errors, how they scored, and what they needed to do to improve. This is extremely important right now as we're running a dual program for our online learners to be able to hand in all of their work to the teachers without missing any deadlines.
I've spoken about the social and emotional parts of what I value in a school, but I certainly don't want that to take precedence over the academic achievement of our students and the high standards that we have for them. It's a very rigorous academic program at UMS. Very high standards expected from students. Very high standards expected from the staff delivering the content to the students. And we all just have very high expectations of ourselves generally to have the students succeed at a high level. Our students are successful. They do very well in competitions. Standardized tests, we are in the top 5% across Canada. Math competitions, we've achieved at a very high level throughout many of them. In our science competitions, we've won the York Region national standings. In music, we've achieved gold and platinum and national standings in choirs and band. We've gone to robotics competitions. We had a team that went to the provincial championships a year ago. And we're also a school that reaches out to our community and wants to help. So philanthropy is a big part of our school with Me to We initiatives last year, which I know has changed a little bit because of political reasons, but we also do have a lot of charitable causes that we attach ourselves to, so that our students, understand that they are in a very privileged situation, and that the people in their community aren't necessarily as privileged as they are. And they have the tools, the finances, the resources to reach out and help people. And so that's a big part of our school as well.
Just as Mr. Traherne just said, we do believe that students need to feel a sense of community. It's what makes them feel like they belong and that they have school spirit. So we always incorporate community and leadership within the classroom on a daily basis, but we also have opportunities within the school for this type of leadership. We have a house system, which all students would belong to. They are assigned one of the houses in their first month of school at the beginning of the year, and siblings are also placed in the same house. And then throughout the year, we do all kinds of house challenges and activities that encourage them to feel like they're part of their house. Once the students get into the upper grades, they could be part of the student council, which they are elected by their class representatives. They are then able to, bring forward ideas, suggestions, and activities throughout the school year. So it gives the students a chance and a voice to bring forward concerns or issues that they would like admin to deal with. Once the students hit grade 8, we have our prefect program. Students are selected. This provides a real opportunity for leadership, modeling of character traits such as responsibility, courtesy, respect for the students. So the students see them around. This year we have encouraged the prefects to put together videos. They are showing them in the classroom so that the students can't come into the classroom as a prefect, but they're taping themselves and putting together videos that the students can see. The prefects have put together a food bank video that the teachers are showing them right now to encourage food bank donations to our Markham Food Bank. So at UMS, we offer several different types of programs. We have 2 that are both lunch and after school, extracurricular and enrichment programs. So the first after school activities are the enrichments. These are free activities for all of our grade 4 to 8s to participate in. They're given a chance to participate in at least one of these during the school year. The enrichments are taught by our teachers. They're in 3 different sessions of 8-week blocks. So some of these enrichments might include MMUN, which is our model Montessori United Nations, FLL, which is the First League Lego Robotics, Dash and Dot, our Green School Eco Club, Student Council, Forensic Science, all of those activities. These enrichments give students an opportunity to participate in activities that they are really passionate about. As students get older, the younger students also have the opportunity to participate in our choirs and our school production. Last year, our school production was The Lion King, and we had many of our younger students participate in that. We also offer a paid after-school lunch and a paid lunch and after-school program. So these programs include such things as robotics, chess, abacus, yoga, knowledge makes sense, ballet, rhythmic gymnastics, table tennis, karate, Zumba. This is just to name a few. So as you can see, there are many different activities that are offered. So whatever passions your child would like to further enhance, they will have that opportunity to do so. These paid programs are offered 3 different times during the school year. They run after school from 3:30 to 6 o'clock and would run for around an 8-week block. At the end of a lot of these programs, there are special opportunities for the students to present what they've done. For example, with the ballet, Mrs. Kononova puts together a fabulous production for all the students to come together and present what they've done during the school year. Our varsity sports team, as Mrs. Mevis touched on a little bit, are some of the best around. They participate in many of sports such as soccer, golf, basketball, cross country, volleyball, ball hockey, ice hockey, and we've won many banners. If we were live, you would be able to see in our gym all the banners that are hanging from these sports that we participated in. So all of our students are very proud of our athletic department and all the success that they've had. So I would now like to introduce Ms. Ada Chung, who, as Mr. Traherne said, is our Parent Association president, and she is going to share her perspective.
Hi, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. I am a parent at UMS, and as Mr. Traherne mentioned earlier, I do have 3 boys, and it's my 7th year at the UMS community, so I can't believe how much time has flown by. I do have 1 child who is currently in grade 1. So this past year's, transition from CASA into grade 1 was a little bit different, given that it was the year of COVID. But I believe strongly that UMS did the best that they could to prepare him going from the kindergarten CASA framework into elementary. So far, so good. And I would say, given my 3 children, my 3rd one is now going through grade 1 at UMS. As mentioned earlier, the curriculum is very strong. But one of the things I do appreciate at the school is that they're very committed to the overall child. So, and while the curriculum is very rigorous, it's not the most important thing. They do care about the child's overall well-being. As Ms. Young just alluded to, there's lots of sports activities. My son, one of them anyway, has been part of the soccer team as well as the basketball team, and another one was part of cross country. So there's lots of different programs that your children will be able to access, and be a part of. One of the things I think I appreciate most about UMS is the communication between parents and staff. I have found that regardless of grade and teacher, whether they're a Rotary teacher or the prime homeroom teacher, they have always been available for meetings. So long as you find them on Edsby, they're very responsive. You can meet with them to discuss any issue or concern that you may have with your child, and they're always been very open to options. And I believe that the thought process is that we're trying to make the learning in the best manner possible for your child. So they understand that not one solution fits everyone, and that works, and I appreciate very much. As mentioned earlier too, UMS is very high tech, and again, I as a parent believe that this is preparing the children for future. I've seen how quickly my kids have adapted to using things online. As an aside, in my workplace, we just started using Google G Suite probably about 2 years ago. But the proficiency that my kids have using Google Classroom and just the associated applications with it is very, very quick. So they've adopted very well, being young people. So that's good. They also use different types of methods to teach the curriculum, which I find will interest kids. Outside of, I think this year, given social distancing requirements, children have been able to have a hands-on approach to learning. Scientists in school is a really great example. I've been a parent volunteer a few times with my children when scientists come into the school, and it's pretty interactive and the kids have a lot of fun. The arts program is excellent. You do have drama and art I'm missing one. Music, sorry, I'm forgetting. But the kids get exposed to things that I actually don't see with either friends or family who have their children in public school. And another thing is that we have a very engaged parent community. So parents you're welcome to attend every meeting that we have. We have a monthly meeting. This year we've gone virtual, which has increased some of our participation. But parents will have suggestions and they'll send it to our mailbox, or maybe they'll post something on our group, or they'll just contact anybody that's on council. So they are very engaged. And the school itself has been quite adaptive and quick to respond to things. So just given the 7 years that I have been part of the community, I've seen the evolution of UMS. And it's kind of leaps and bounds. It's very surprising how quickly the school can react, given that typically schools are a little bit slower to pick up and change with technology and what's happening. But I've been pleased with their progress, and my kids have benefited from it as well. Like anything, I think private school is an investment. And my husband and I look at it as an investment in the children. They enjoy coming to school. They do enjoy the challenges that are set by the school. And yes, as mentioned, it is a rigorous curriculum, but when you set the bar at that level, you'd be very surprised that the children can meet that. So thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Ada? Okay, so that does conclude our presentation. We did receive your questions and your FAQs, so we've answered a few of them. Once we go through this, we will open the floor to anyone who would like to have questions. They can type them in the chat and they can ask away. So a few of the ones that did come up: when can I register? So our school operates from September through to June. We traditionally run at full enrollment in grade 1. Registration for the upcoming school year for external family begin in September the year prior, and assessments are booked in chronological order in January and February. So once our internal registration is completed, we will begin an external registrations in March based upon the ability and when the application was submitted until all spaces are full. So what is the assessment? So the assessment that we do with the students is a reading and writing and math assessment. It will be done virtually this year through Zoom. So if you have already applied, if you are not within our CASA program and you have applied, you will be contacted by the admission team at the beginning of January to start booking those assessments. And we will continue doing the assessments right through, and we will be filling spots as they are available. So how do you apply? You apply externally through by visiting the school website. Once you've done so, as I said, the administrative team will contact you to book the assessment. We recommend that parents apply prior to January because we will start the assessment process then. If you are currently a member of our school community, you do not need to apply on the website. An email will be sent out to all of our existing families outlining the registration process later in January. Is there any way we can hold a spot during the COVID-19 period? We are currently accepting registration for the upcoming school year. If there is availability, you can secure your child's spot with a non-refundable deposit. So we currently don't have availability for this school year in our primary program. We are full in grade 1, 2, and 3, but may have spaces available in our junior and senior CASA program. So please visit the website if you're interested in those programs to apply. And what options for in-school and online do we have for the new school semester? So online classes are currently being offered this year in our elementary program. We are running a virtual and a in-class person program, and the school will reassess if we need this option again for 2021, 2022, depending on the pandemic.
I want to thank everyone for coming tonight, and thank Mr. Abnazat for joining us, of course, Ms. Chung for representing the parental population and speaking about her children going through the program, Mr. Sandbrooks for keeping everything locked down on the IT level, and for the rest of the admin team. Don't want to keep saying the same thing over and over, but it is the start of a longer conversation. I hope you do get in touch with me if you have any questions left over or want to dive into something a little bit more in detail about your specific child's needs. I actually really enjoy talking with parents. I want to engage parents. I like hearing about your child and what you know about your child. It deepens our understanding of how to program successfully for them. And it's just really my favorite part of the job is talking with students, with teachers, and with parents. We are all here for the same reason. We do not walk in the building for no other reason than to help your children. That is our job. So the more information we get, the better we're able to do our job. And I invite you in. I really do. I really hope that you engage with us on an ongoing basis. And I hope you make UMS your choice of schools to bring your child to. I know you won't regret it if you do. Thank you for joining us. Have a good night.